This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, May 9th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Prevost will be the first American pope. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Trump administration is laying out an overhaul of the nation's air traffic control system. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency has been replaced. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The Pentagon will immediately begin moving as many as 1,000 openly identifying transgender service members out of the military. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Trump says he's naming Fox News host Jeanine Pirro as the interim U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. Jennifer King, Washington.
Spending money to show Mom we love her. I'm Clayton Neville.
All ahead on America in the Morning. White smoke from the Sistine Chapel. A new pope has been chosen. Here's Correspondent Haya Panjwani.
The Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Prevost will be the first American pope. He's taking the name Leo XIV. Prevost has extensive experience in Peru, first as a missionary and then an archbishop. He's currently prefect of the Vatican's powerful dicastery for bishops, which is in charge of vetting nominations for bishops around the world. The late Pope Francis had his eye on Prevost, bringing him to the Vatican in 2023. Prevost spoke to the AP in September of that year.
I think that it's not coincidental that Pope Francis chose me.
He mentioned in that interview that while he did work in Peru for many years, he's still American.
I think I do have some insights into the church in the United States. So the need to be able to advise, work with Pope Francis, and to look at the challenges that the church in the United States is facing, I hope to be able to respond to them.
Prevost was elected pope after 2 days and 4 voting sessions. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The White House is pitching a massive overhaul for the nation's air traffic control system. Correspondent Sagar Meghani has details.
In a word, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the current system simply outdated.
This technology is 50 years old.
Using antiquated radars and floppy disks.
This system is a flip phone.
The new version would be like upgrading to a smartphone. Duffy says it'll cost lots of billions of dollars, and he wants it done in 3 years.
This is going to be challenging, but we absolutely can do it.
And must, given recent deadly plane crashes and technical failures leading to blackouts and flight delays. The nation has spent more than $14 billion on air traffic upgrades since 2003. None have dramatically changed how the system works. Duffy says none of it's worth saving. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
There's been a change to the head of FEMA. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Just weeks before the start of hurricane season, the head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency has been replaced. Cameron Hamilton held the acting administrator's job for the last few months. President Trump has been critical of the agency during the Biden administration and has suggested individual states, not the federal government, should take the lead on disaster response.
It's called you fix it. You take care of it yourselves. You don't have to call.
Hamilton is out a day after appearing before a House Appropriations Subcommittee.
FEMA must return to its roots, where response to disaster is locally led, state managed, and federally supported.
Hamilton was asked about plans to eliminate FEMA.
I do not believe it is in the best interest of the American people to eliminate the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Okay.
Having said that, I'm not in a position to make decisions and impact outcomes on whether or not a determination such as consequential as that should be made.
Connecticut Democrat Rosa DeLauro asked the question. She accused President Trump of firing anyone who is not blindly loyal to him. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Fox News host gets administration appointment. That when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning, a new pattern emerging in the West. Let's get the update from AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A hot, not just warm, hot pattern really kicks in around a large portion of the west and into the northern tier of the country today as the prevailing flow around high pressure centered over the interior west funnels in warmer and dry air from most places away from the immediate west coast. Today's high temperatures rise to 10 to 20 degrees above the historical average for many inland spots from western Arizona northward to eastern Oregon, with the weekend taking temperatures of up to 30 degrees above the historical average from the eastern high plains through the Dakotas and into the upper Midwest, where 80s and 90s threaten daily record highs while promoting worsening drought conditions. Dry conditions can also be expected today from the central and eastern Great Lakes across much of the Midwest, even the Central Plains, but a more stormy end to the week is in store from the south through the East Coast, where a couple of disturbances will lead to wet weather persisting into the start of the weekend for the Northeast and into next week across the Southeast. For today, showers and some drenching thunderstorms should be most widespread from far southern Arkansas and much of Louisiana through the Georgia coast. Look for more spotty coverage into portions of the southern plains, the interior southeast, and the northeastern Florida peninsula, where storms may be locally heavy, a risk that extends along the coast into the Carolinas, on the way to a widespread inch-plus rain event that is expected to last through Tuesday. For the Northeast, today's steady rain should be focused from around the nation's capital through western New England, but everyone east of a line from northern New York to the Appalachians is fairly likely to see some rain today. In Albany, New York, today brings a cloudy and cool end to the week with rain for most of the day and a high of just 53. For Fresno, California, expect the first 90-degree day of the year with sunshine and a high of 96. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. The Trump administration is seeking a ruling from the Supreme Court on the use of humanitarian parole. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer explains.
President Donald Trump's administration is asking the Supreme Court to allow it to end humanitarian parole for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from 4 countries, setting them up for potential deportation. The emergency appeal asks the justices to halt a lower court order, keeping in place legal protections for more than 500 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The order blocked the administration from putting an early end to the immigrants' temporary legal status. The administration argues that the decision wrongly intrudes on the authority of the Department of Homeland Security. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Correspondent Jennifer King reports former Judge Jeanine Pirro has been tapped to temporarily lead the nation's largest U.S. Attorney's office.
In a post on Truth Social, Trump said Pirro was well qualified for this position. She was elected as a judge in 1990 in New York's Westchester County Court and served 3 terms as the district attorney there. She's been working for Fox since 2006, most recently co-hosting a weekday evening show, The Five. Pirro has been a vocal Trump backer for many years, speaking here at a New York rally in 2018.
Do you like the fact that this man is the tip of the spear who goes out there every day and fights for us?
Trump's announcement came after he pulled the nomination for conservative activist Ed Martin Jr.
He's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting the support.
A key Republican senator, Tom Tillis, said he opposed Martin's nomination because he worked to defend January 6th rioters.
We have somebody else that will be great.
Pirro herself is one of the defendants in a defamation lawsuit over false election claims by voting technology company Smartmatic USA. Jennifer King, Washington.
In sports, the Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the Golden State Warriors 117-93 as the NBA playoffs continue. The Thunder and Nuggets square off tonight. That series tied at 1-1. Trump promoting higher taxes on higher earners. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Well, as we await for the opening bell this Friday morning, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger has a recap of yesterday's action.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning day for stocks yesterday on some forward trade movement. The Dow up 250 points. The S&P 500 index was up, but it is still lower for the week. Boeing shares surged on a UK plan to buy $10 billion worth of planes. Bitcoin jumped above 100,000 for the first time since February. The framework of a trade deal with the UK announced. Here's President Trump at the White House.
The deal includes billions of dollars of increased market access for American exports, especially in agriculture, dramatically increasing access for American beef, ethanol, and virtually all of the products produced by our great farmers.
China says the U.S. asked for the trade meeting that's this weekend in Switzerland. It's trying to control the narrative that the U.S. is desperate for a deal before store shelves are empty without Chinese goods.
We have a meeting, as you know. Scott will be going over to Switzerland on Saturday, and that'll be very, very interesting. Let's find out. But I think they want to make a deal very badly, too.
President Trump, they're referring to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's leading the effort with China. The number of people who applied for unemployment benefits last week came in about as expected, 228,000. That's steady. Economists call this a low hire, low fire job market. Krispy Kreme shares plunged after the donut chain paused its McDonald's rollout. That after sales slowed below projections. Krispy Kreme shares are down more than 70% over the past 12 months. Super high-earning Americans may actually have to pay more in income taxes.
Some confirmation here from a source familiar with the president's thinking to CNBC, saying that the president is considering allowing the rate on individuals making $2.5 million or more to revert from 37% to the pre-2017 rate of 39.6%. The president is now in favor of raising that top tax rate. Obviously not a huge increase, but it is an increase. And for a Republican president to be talking about a tax increase on anybody, is unusual.
CNBC's Eamon Javers. Amazon adding pet prescriptions, expanding its online pharmacy offerings. Pet drugs are ordered through Amazon, but they're dispensed and delivered by VetSource. Amazon is holding a Pet Day sale for actually 2 days, next Tuesday and Wednesday. On today's watch list, no big economic data today. We do get earnings from AMC Networks. Florists are hoping to do some big business today ahead of Mother's Day on Sunday. New in theaters, Lionsgate's Shadow Force, Briarcliff's Juliet and Romeo, and A24's Friendship.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. The trial of a Michigan police officer charged with fatally shooting a man during a 2022 traffic stop ends in a mistrial. Following proceedings, Correspondent Donna Warder.
A jury in Michigan could not reach a unanimous verdict in the trial of a police officer charged with second-degree murder in the fatal shooting of Patrick Loyoya, a 26-year-old Congolese immigrant. Presiding Judge Christina Mims.
What I'm going to do is declare a mistrial in this case, and that means that you're all discharged.
Loyoya was pulled over by Officer Christopher Scher in April 2022 for improper license plates. Body cam and dash cam video shows Loyoya running and the officer tackling him. They struggle, and the officer repeatedly tells Loyoya to stop resisting and to let go of his taser. One bullet was fired into Loyoya's head. Scher was fired from the police department shortly after he was charged. He could be tried again. I'm Donna Warder.
Actress Betty White once said, "It's not easy being a mom. If it were easy, fathers would do it." A look at celebrating Mother's Day when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. Correspondent Clayton Neville takes a look on how Americans are planning to honor their moms this Mother's Day weekend.
The National Retail Federation says that consumers spend on average for Mother's Day more than any other holiday, excluding the winter ones. So how much money are you willing to dish out for Mom?
100. She deserves that because she helps me.
A little less for some.
50. Because she wouldn't like it if I spent more.
And others don't plan to spend money at all.
I'm just going to make stuff by myself, and yeah.
The homemade or school-made gift, a favorite for a lot of moms.
A book that I made for her.
At school, I did a How Well Do We Know Our Moms quiz.
We did flowers and a picture of us, and we said what we loved about them the most.
The National Retail Federation says total spending for the holiday expected to exceed $34 billion with a B, with Americans planning to spend an average of $259. That's a slight boost from last year. The NRF's latest survey highlights the most popular Mother's Day gifts for this year. Topping the list, some of the classics: greeting cards, flowers, brunch or dinner, of course, and jewelry and clothes. I'm Clayton Neville.
Happy Mother's Day. Moms, we wouldn't be here without you. America in the Morning for Friday, May 9th, 2025 is produced by Alexander Hinson. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The new Pope is an American.
I was in absolute shock. Happily shocked.
I'm Richard Johnson.
The Trump administration has just announced a 3-year plan to build a new air traffic control system. I'm Sue Aller.
President Trump is hailing a planned trade deal with Britain. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
An investigation opened into New York Attorney General Letitia James. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Republican-led House passed a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Heavy rain will dampen plans for many this Mother's Day weekend. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A disturbance shifting southward out of Canada will make only gradual progress across first the interior northeast through the day today, then New England for Saturday. This slow movement, combined with what is expected to be a round of intensification, most noticeable through Friday night, will mean areas of heavy rain, even some repeated rounds of downpours through Saturday, resulting in inches of rain before the storm pulls into Atlantic Canada. In total, expect at least an inch or two of rain from east-central Pennsylvania eastward through northern New Jersey and northward through southern Maine, with localized amounts of up to 4 inches of rain, most likely from northeastern Pennsylvania through western Massachusetts and much of southern Vermont and New Hampshire. A separate storm will continue to deliver showers and thunderstorms to parts of the south, not only today but through the first half or so of next week as it stalls overhead. This will mean spotty storms over eastern Texas and Oklahoma today, with more widespread activity from Louisiana through southern Georgia, even a heavy, locally severe afternoon thunderstorm for much of the Atlantic side of the Florida Peninsula and along the coast of the Carolinas. This comes in the wake of Thursday's storms that were extremely intense at times, including a powerful storm Thursday evening that brought an incredible inch of rain in 6 minutes, along with 89-mile-per-hour winds to Alice, Texas, about an hour west of Corpus Christi. Through Tuesday, expect rainfall of at least 1 to 2 inches across the southeast, with up to 4 to 8 inches from the Big Bend to Florida into south-central Georgia. Otherwise, spotty afternoon storms break out over northern Minnesota and parts of the High Plains today as impressive warmth expands in the west and into more of the northern plains. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. For the first time in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church, an American will lead it. Correspondent Rich Johnson has details of the Chicago-born priest who is now Pope.
La pace sia con tutti voi.
Peace be with you. The first words from Pope Leo XIV, until yesterday known as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. The news of his election was exciting to the Americans in Vatican Square, especially those from Chicago, like reporter Mary Ann Ahern of WMAQ-TV.
To be here and witness this in person, to hear the name Roberto Francisco, I said, whoa, this is Robert Prevost from Chicago, and so did the people surrounding me.
Being in Rome, as a whole, is just incredible. To be here during the new Pope election, that's once in a lifetime.
And the fact that it's one of our own Americans just makes it that much more amazing that we're here to see it.
I want to know his background. Honestly, I'm just shocked it's an American that they picked. It's crazy.
69-year-old Robert Prevost is the youngest of 3 sons born to a teacher father and librarian mother. 2 of his aunts were nuns, and Prevost knew early in life he was going to be a priest. He attended a seminary high school in Chicago, then Villanova University. He spent more than 2 decades in Peru as a missionary and teacher. He also led the Augustinians, the order founded by St. Augustine. 2 years ago, he was called to the Vatican to head up the office that vets nominees to become bishops. But while he may be a citizen of the world, the people of Chicago still call him one of their own.
I was in absolute shock. Happily shocked.
Father Gregory Sakowicz was in the middle of Mass when he heard the news from a woman to whom he was giving communion. One of Chicago's highest-profile priests, Father Robert Pfleger, expects Pope Leo to continue Pope Francis's desire to embrace all levels of society.
The world is saying this is what they're looking for in faith leadership. And I think this guy brings it.
The comic courtesy of WLS-TV. Prevost, now Pope Leo, told the faithful he will seek to build a missionary church that builds bridges and is able to receive everybody. I'm Rich Johnson.
The Trump administration has announced plans to update aging air traffic control systems. With details, here's correspondent Sue Aller.
For more than 2 decades, the U.S. government has been talking about replacing the Federal Aviation Administration's outdated air traffic control system. The Trump administration has announced a 3-year, multi-billion-dollar plan to modernize air traffic control. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy announced yesterday that the plan will update outdated technology and hire hundreds of new air traffic controllers.
Those who use the airspace, they deserve this moment in time to actually deliver an air traffic control system that's going to keep them safe, that's not going to have them delayed for 4 hours or their flights canceled.
Duffy also says if nothing is done, there will be more situations similar to the recent breakdown at Newark Liberty Airport in New Jersey.
You will see Newark's, not just in Newark, you'll see Newark's in other parts of the country because it's an aging system. And so we have to actually upgrade it.
Some of the key aspects of the plan include technology enhancements, new air traffic control centers, and improved flight management systems. President Trump is also requesting Congress secure funding immediately rather than spreading costs over a decade. I'm Sue Aller.
Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani shares outlines of a trade deal between the United States and the United Kingdom.
President Trump is hailing a planned trade deal with Britain. He notes the details still need to be finalized in coming weeks, but
it's very conclusive, and we think everyone's going to be happy.
The president's agreed to cut tariffs on autos, steel, and aluminum from the UK, which in turn will buy more American beef and streamline its customs process for American goods. British officials say the Trump auto tariffs will drop from 27.5% to 10%, a number he insists is not a template for other nations pursuing trade deals.
No, that's a low number. They made a good deal. Some will be much higher.
The administration set to talk with China about trade this weekend in Switzerland. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When we return, New York's Attorney General in the hot seat. Also, Wisconsin's school shooters' parents in trouble with the law. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. The FBI is opening a formal investigation into the New York Attorney General for alleged mortgage fraud. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Congresswoman Elise Stefanik calls the investigation into New York Attorney General Letitia James a vital step toward justice. James, on the other hand,
I will fight on,
increasingly agitated in recent public appearances.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen?
James has said she won't be intimidated.
You elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me me to continue fighting on.
James accused of falsifying records to get favorable loans on a home she bought in 2023 in Virginia and a Brooklyn brownstone that she's owned since 2001. The Democrat also allegedly misrepresented the number of units in the Brooklyn house and listed the Virginia home as her principal residence. James has previously called the fraud allegations against her baseless. I'm Clayton Neville.
Congress has passed a bill to codify the Gulf of America. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
The Republican-led House passed a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. President Trump already signed an executive order on his first day in office.
The Gulf of America was something I thought should have been named a long time ago.
The bill was sponsored by Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The American people want to take pride in our land and our waters once again.
Democrats fought back. The bill was passed by only 5 votes.
What a sick joke this is.
Maryland's Steny Hoyer says renaming a body of water is not a priority.
We ought to be debating legislation to bring down costs, to pay our debts, to fix our broken immigration system. Instead, MAGA Republicans waste our time with this childish drivel.
The bill's fate is unclear in the Senate. A name change would only carry authority in the U.S. Mexico and other countries do not recognize the Gulf of America. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Earlier this week, the Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration to allow President Trump's ban on transgender people serving in the military. And now Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports that the military is working to remove transgender troops.
The Pentagon will immediately begin moving as many as 1,000 openly identifying transgender service members out of the military and give others 30 days to self-identify. The Defense Department will begin going through medical records to identify others who have not come forward. Those whose medical records show that they have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, who show symptoms or are being treated, will then be involuntarily forced out of the service. The new rule only allows for a very few limited exceptions on a case-by-case basis. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The parent of a school shooter in Wisconsin is facing charges in connection with the case. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Jeffrey Rupnow, the father of a 15-year-old who opened fire at a school in Madison, Wisconsin last December, has been arrested and faces felony charges. Rupnow's daughter, Natalie, killed a teacher and a student at Abundant Life Christian School and injured 2 others before killing herself.
The teenager had a fascination with weapons and school shootings.
Madison Police Chief John Patterson.
The items recovered were disturbing, they were alarming, and they would have led any average person to the conclusion of violence.
Patterson says Rupnow faces charges of contributing to the delinquency of a child and 2 counts of providing a dangerous weapon to a person under 18, resulting in death.
There was a gun safe in the home. Based on our investigation, it did not stop the teenager from having regular access to the firearms.
The criminal complaint details Natalie's obsession with violence and how her father tried to bond with her through guns, even as she planned the attack. Rupnow's the latest parent of a school shooter to face charges. Last year, the mother and father of a school shooter in Michigan were convicted of involuntary manslaughter. I'm Jennifer King.
Russia is accusing Ukraine of not honoring a 72-hour ceasefire declared by President Putin to honor the anniversary of the country's World War II Victory Day. As war rages on in the region, here's the latest from correspondent Karen Shamas.
Russia and Ukraine both reported attacks on their forces on the first day of a 72-hour ceasefire. The halt in fighting was called by Russian President Vladimir Putin to mark the anniversary of the World War II victory with a parade in Moscow. Russian bombs struck the northeast Sumy region in Ukraine in the opening hours of the ceasefire, killing at least 1 civilian. Ukrainian emergency personnel searched through debris in Sumy as firefighters attempted to put out the remains of a blaze ignited by the strike. Ukraine's foreign minister accused Russia of violating its own ceasefire over 700 times between midnight and midday local time on Thursday. He called the ceasefire a farce on the social media platform X. In Russia, several regions, including the border area of Belgorod, came under a drone threat alert overnight, but there were no reports of any drones being shut down or intercepted. I'm Karen Shamas.
The CEO of a now-defunct Celsius crypto lending network has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for fraud. Correspondent Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Former CEO of bankrupt crypto lending platform Celsius Network, Alex Mashinsky, has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for fraud. Judge John Coltle of Southern District of New York handed down the sentence, saying that the 12 years is composed of a 120-month sentence to be served concurrently with a separate 144-month sentence for 2 more charges that Mashinsky already pled guilty to. He also agreed to sacrifice $48 million and several pieces of real estate. Judge Coltle said, quote, "No matter what the sentence will not cure the monetary or psychological harm that was caused to the victims." Mashinsky falsely claimed that Celsius had regulatory approval, and he insisted that the platform did not make uncollateralized loans, when in fact it did. Over 100,000 creditors claimed they lost $4.7 billion in initial bankruptcy documents. Cryptos loved the news, with Bitcoin up to 103,000 and Ethereum at 2,215. Find me at chuckpalm.com.
With a look at Friday sports in for Robert Workman, here's John Stolnis.
Only one game on the NBA hardwood last night, a West semifinals matchup with the Minnesota Timberwolves easily handling the Golden State Warriors 117-93. The Warriors were without future Hall of Famer Steph Curry last night, who is nursing a hamstring injury. Veteran Julius Randle led the way for Minnesota with 24 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds, evening the best-of-7 series at a game apiece. Before the game, Curry said he's not sure when he'll be back in the lineup for Golden State.
This is new, and from all that I'm learning about how quickly you can get back, there has to be a healing process.
On the diamond, some late heroics in the NL East last night. The Atlanta Braves getting a walk-off win in the bottom of the 11th to beat the Reds 5-4. The Phillies stormed back from a 5-1 eighth-inning deficit to win 7-6 in 10 innings. Meanwhile, the Detroit Tigers swept a doubleheader with the Rockies in Colorado, while the Royals handled the White Sox, keeping the AL Central standings tight. And we have our first firing of the baseball season. Pirates skipper Derek Shelton is out after 5+ seasons in Pittsburgh. The Pirates are 12-26 this year, in last place. Finally, Texans rookie wide receiver Jaden Higgins has made NFL history, becoming the first player drafted in the second round to receive a fully guaranteed contract. It's for 4 years and $11.7 million. Usually, only players taken in the first round get guaranteed contracts. Daniels was the number 34 overall pick in last month's draft out of Iowa State. And that's your look at sports.
A billionaire gives away his fortune when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. New in theaters this weekend, a film about hitmen on a plane. With a sneak peek, here's correspondent Kevin Carr.
After a comeback with the movie Trap, Josh Hartnett flies into an action film.
I can give you your life back. I can clear your name. I just need you to get to the airport.
If you want what I'm offering, you need to be on it.
Fight or Flight tells the story of a burned government agent lured back to the job to find an elusive hacker on an international flight.
We're tracking a high-value target.
The ghost is a black hat terrorist.
Deliver the mark to us alive, you get your life back.
The only problem is that dozens of hitmen are also on the flight trying to kill both of them.
Are you telling me that plane is full of killers?
Rough night? Fight or Flight takes up the challenge of having a massive multi-layered brawl happen in the toughest of conditions. Most of the film takes place on the plane, resulting in some creative and high-octane sequences, often with hilarious results.
Start going through the luggage. There must be something we can use as weapons.
Whether it's firearms, martial arts experts, or chainsaws, the things that make it on the plane are unbelievable, but that doesn't mean that it isn't fun to watch.
Did we just put a paranoid psychopath in the mix?
The overall story is full of cliches and about as predictable as a Harlem Globetrotters game, but it makes things work with a committed cast and its tongue firmly in cheek.
Now, these people are paid a lot of money for first-class service, and I cannot have them disturbed.
This is what Bullet Train could have been if it had pared down its bloated running time. Oh, yeah. Fight or Flight gets 3.5 bags of peanuts out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
Bill Gates has announced plans to give away almost his entire fortune. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
Bill Gates says he'll donate 99% of his remaining tech fortune to the Gates Foundation, which will now plan to close in 2045. That's earlier than previously planned. Today, that fortune would be worth an estimated $107 billion.
And the foundation work has been
way more impactful than I expected.
The pledge is one of the largest philanthropic gifts ever. Gates' donation will be delivered over time and allow the foundation to spend an additional $200 billion over the next 20 years. After that, the foundation will close.
The need, of course, is far greater than what we can do, but we'll be showing that we're doing the most we can and give a lot of predictability to the field by having this, we'll be here all of those 20 years, but not thereafter.
Gates says spending down his fortune will help save and improve many lives, which will have positive ripple effects well beyond the foundation's closure. It'll also make it more likely that his intentions are honored. I'm Haya Panjwani.
This weekend, don't forget to tell the moms in your life how much you love and appreciate them for Mother's Day. According to the National Retail Federation, this year, 84% of U.S. adults are expected to celebrate the holiday and spend, on average, $259 on gifts and celebrations. The most common gifts being flowers, greeting cards, special outings such as dinner or brunch, and jewelry. Even AI and robots should celebrate Mother's Day. After all, they came to life through a motherboard. Happy Mother's Day from the crew of America in the Morning. For Friday, May 9th, 2025, our show is produced by Alexander Hinton. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.